to the Prophecy Club. You know, one of the reasons, hopefully, that you listen to this particular broadcast is the fact that we can talk about what is going on in the world from a Bible prophecy standpoint and from the standpoint of the modern prophets. Because what one says on one website may not be the truth, and it may not have anything to do with what's really coming. But because we know Bible prophecy, because we know what the modern prophets have prophesied, and we follow that, and thank you, Lord, and thank you to you folks out there that send me emails to askstan@prophecyclub.com, which, by the way, boy, if you really want to be informed, you should be able to read some of my emails. Oh, my goodness. It's getting to where anymore I get more information from my emails from people that are sending me things, thank you very much, than I do from any place else. Okay, so here's what we're going to do today. Candace Owens has put out some information that I think is very important, but the important part is that we know Bible prophecy. We know what the modern prophets are saying. And remember, in the mouth of two or three witnesses, let a thing be established. So she says, this is Candace Owens, she says that POTUS is actually sitting on a stack of trump cards, and that's why he's waiting to unleash a royal flush. She says he has court cases that will go to the Supreme Court, and thanks to the Texas case, he's now aware of how to file them properly under Article 3, not Article 2, so the SCOTUS, the Supreme Court, will be forced to listen. He now has the DNI report, that's Director of National Intelligence, and since Barr has stepped down, he can now be a witness, meaning he did his job. So she says, meaning that apparently Barr stepping down, now I'm talking here now, I'm commenting on what she talked about, in that Barr has stepped down, he has information that he and he alone can bring to us, and that's going to be part of the plan going on. She says Durham is special counsel and prosecute in any state. Now, some of this we know, but what does that mean? Durham is special counsel and can prosecute in any state. Well, special counsel means he is, well, kind of like Mueller was, above president. In other words, no one can touch him, whoever the president is, and as a special prosecutor, he can prosecute in any of the 50 states out there, meaning apparently all of this investigation is not going to fall to the ground, meaning a lot of these sealed indictments, a lot of other things are going to be served up justice. He's letting civil, criminal, and federal courts fail to handle the situation properly, so he can use military tribunals. He has all the data from the NSA, the Kraken supercomputer, the Alice supercomputer, and likely more computers, perhaps unknown to us. In other words, she's saying that Trump has got this. Okay, he's there's an how do I say this? Sometimes I get information that I know is true, but there is absolutely positively no way that I would dare repeat it on any kind of electronic media, and that includes phones, email, teletype, especially a radio program, especially one that has filters. But sometimes I can bring it to you in other ways so you can still get the truth. This is kind of one of them. So let me read that again. He's letting civil, criminal, and federal courts fail to handle the situation properly, meaning Trump apparently, from before he came down the escalator to announce his run for presidency back in 2015, knew he was going to be here today and had all of this all planned out. None of this is a surprise. Now, normally the Democrats are the ones that do all that advanced planning, but apparently him and some other people did some really advanced planning, and they knew they would be here. They're prepared, not surprised, and they're ready for it. So he tried these lower courts, knowing they wouldn't do anything, then be able to go to military tribunals. She goes on to say he has all the data from all of these big supercomputers. In other words, he has not been sleeping. He is all prepared, and there's going to be a time that he's going to open Pandora's box. Let's go on. He has the dueling electors from 7 state legislators. He has Vice President Pence, as the final arbiter of which ballots to accept. Now, if you listen to the mainstream news, you know that there's all kinds of things being said about whether Pence is going to really do the right thing or not. But apparently, according to her and some other people, they got it. Not a problem. Don't worry. All of this was all planned out a long time ago. He also has the Insurrection Act, the NDAA, the National Emergency, the 14th Amendment, the 2018 Executive Order, the 2017 very first Executive Order, the Patriot Act, the FISA warrants, the declassification of everything, and people swearing affidavits by the thousands. In other words, what she's saying, and I think she's correct, and some other sources kind of verified, he knew all of this was coming. Now, why am I waiting so long to do today's broadcast? Because I want to see what happens, because I'm recording this at 3:09 on 1/5/2021. This is the Georgia election runoff day, in the middle of it. And hopefully before I can get rid of this broadcast today, we will already know, did the Dems or Republicans win the 2 Senate seats tonight? Because I think that's going to be real important. She says he also has all the statistical data being analyzed, along with videos, emails, phone calls, bank transfer statements showing the coordination of the coup d'etat. Now, I'm going to jump in here with another one. Do you remember that HalTurnerRadioShow.com put this out? You remember when Trump went over to visit Putin over in Russia? And you remember this is when that they threw the ball over to Donald Trump and they said, now the ball is in your court. You also recall that HalTurnerRadioShow.com said, we don't know this to be true, but we said that apparently Putin gave President Trump some 160 terabyte thumb drives full of all of the damning stuff that even though Trump were to find it, he wouldn't be able to use it in court because it was be inadmissible because he didn't have proper authority. Maybe that's the way to say it. In other words, a search warrant and things like that. Whereas, in that it was given to him by an outside the nation source, he's actually going to be able to use that. You see, part of my prayer is, I've been praying, Lord, I ask that you bring justice to my nation. Bring justice. Bring justice from the smallest to the largest, from the furthest to the closest. And I go in and I list off several things. And then I say, of course, but begin with the house of the Lord, because I want the justice to start and go all through my nation. I pray and I cry for justice in our nation. Remember the scripture that says, where the angel was told to go through and put a mark on the foreheads of all of those people that had sighed and cried for the abominations done in Israel. Then the angel was told, go through and destroy all of those people who do not have the mark of sighing and crying on their forehead. But he said, but begin first at my house. In other words, the Bible says that judgment begins at the house of God. So until the judgment hits the house of God, it's not going to go to the rest of the world. Now, I'm praying that when that judgment hits the house of God, it's done in secret so as not to bring ill repute to the name of Jesus or to the church. But we also know that it has to happen. Now, I think that is all part of it. I pray that those people with those sealed indictments are all served up justice. I pray that all of the people that cheated in the election are all served up justice. All of the Moloch and the Baal worshipers, any of those people that filthy, filthy, filthy evil beyond even what is comfortable coming out of our mouth. I pray that Jesus will serve up justice. And I pray that he will bring in a season and a time when justice is served throughout the nation and around the world. And I believe that's going to come just before the tribulation starts. Now back to what Candace Owens said. He has the RICO, and he has the crimes against humanity videos. In other words, he's got the evidence. Don't worry. WikiLeaks just dropped extensive information, and I can't say that word, but it says that the right person is supposed to be pardoned. Now, that hasn't happened yet. He also is aware of certain murders that have taken place. I can't say that word either. And now that the governors and the Secretary of States have certified that the blue guy won the election. The JB won the election, accepted. They each committed and knowingly agreed to acts of treason, meaning he's got the goods. He's got the goods, not to worry. He's going to pull out of this. Now, by the time you hear this, we will probably know who won the Georgia elections, and probably we will know who is going to be the next president of the United States, because January 6th is going to be a really, really big day to see what really happens. So let's go on, though. It says that he baited the deep state into staying in D.C. so they could be arrested. JB hasn't accepted any transition money, and HK has still not given up her seat on the Senate, meaning apparently they know that Trump is really going to be the next president. The military has infiltrated, I can't say that or that, but it's the bad guys that throw rocks and burn buildings up in Portland and Seattle and stuff. He has all of their financial records. He knows which politicians took, I can't say that word either, we'll say foreign money and dirty money, both Republicans and Democrats. He also positioned, I can't say that word, as a high person in government, and that person also as a high person in government. So he literally just wrote an executive order regarding the military line of succession, and as many people suspect, this guy is, and he mentions the name here, and I've heard this from several people, is actually that letter, like LMNOP, that one, that next word, can't say that, okay, but she's saying who that really is. And I've heard from other sources that that's probably correct. But again, I can't talk about that. He is defunding the three-letter word I can't say, which is the bad guys, the intelligence guys that do the most bad. We'll say it that way. Also, he just replaced 2 people on the National Security Advisory Board with loyal men. He says that the military has been flying planes far more than usual all over the country. She says that the Navy just parked mega fleets on both coasts, and the 82nd Airborne, I'm going slow because I'm choosing my words carefully, okay, because I don't want to get in trouble. You know what I'm saying. The 82nd Airborne is preparing for an operation, which is the same group that General Flynn and that's another name I better not say, but another person high up in government. Pieces are finally falling into place. POTUS has it all. I'll say it again. Pieces are finally falling into place. POTUS has it all. This has all been planned. He's just laying out the pieces and building the narrative. He knows he won, and they committed treason. He set a trap, and they walked right into it without hesitation. He gave the deep state the chance to come clean and try and fix things, but they chose treason. And he says they will all, I can't say that word, but we'll say it, receive justice. And she goes on to say, patriots are in control and nothing can stop the good that is coming. I paused the broadcast because I was hoping to have the Georgia election results in by now. It is 8:56 p.m. on 1/5/2021, and right now it is razor thin. They do not know who is going to win, and I don't want to wait any longer to complete this broadcast, and I've got a lot of other information to bring to you, so I'm going to go ahead and complete it. We'll talk about that perhaps tomorrow. Okay, once again, I don't know what it is about this HalTurnerRadioShow.com, but he seems to have the information that fits with prophecy more than anything else. And again, I want to thank you folks for sending this information to askstan@prophecyclub.com, because I get more information now from you than I do any place else from the emails you send me. So again, thank you. But again, this comes from HalTurnerRadioShow.com. Headline, 1776 flag flying over the White House. Revolution signal. That's right. The time is here. The storm is upon us. Now, yesterday I talked about the storm. That is a common word that I see through many of the reports, many of the articles on the internet. Storm. We are in a storm. Rise up, America, he says. Rise up against the fraudulent election. By the way, I am not suggesting you do that. Let me make that plain. I'll say it again. I'm not suggesting that you do that. Do not rise up. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal. They're mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. Our weapons are on our knees, fasting and praying. So do not, my advice is, do not get into the flesh. Do not fight this in the flesh. We fight this through fasting and prayer. But anyway, I'm reading what AlternateRadioShow.com says. Rise up against the communist insurgency and their Bolshevik minions in the deep state. I'm going to skip that next thing. He goes on to say bribed officials that enrich themselves, defend the republic. And he even goes on to say to arms. And again, I do not agree with that. Now, okay, so then why are you reading it? Well, let me go back and refresh your memory. February of 1988, I heard these words. The fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. I believe that was fulfilled. It's started with the election of November the 3rd, 2020. The next phrase is, some of the people will start fighting against the government. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and 2 of the countries will attack and defeat America in one day or burn. This is talking about some of the people will start fighting against the government. And there's more. Next article, AlternateRadioShow.com again. Headline, Flag atop West Virginia State Capitol flying upside down, nation in distress. January 5. The American flag is flying upside down atop the West Virginia State Capitol today, signaling a danger or distress. Last night, the White House flew the Betsy Ross 1776 flag atop the White House, a signal from the president of revolution being needed. These 2 sovereign entities sending signals to the American public or the American people via flag displays makes it clear. Now listen carefully. Our nation is in great peril, great distress. Why? Because I believe that God is in the process of starting the fall of our nation. You remember November the 11th of 1620 was when our forefathers signed the Mayflower Compact, saying we want to start a new nation for the furtherance of the Christian faith, unquote. Well, 400 years is a judgment cycle. Well, 2020 concluded 400 years any way you want to divide it. I believe that America, under the Constitution, has started its fall. Now, I want to also believe that there's a good time coming. I also want to believe that we're coming into... We've been a nation under the Constitution. Now, we have been quoting that, one nation under God, but like when Israel didn't have a king, that was a nation under God. But when Israel started getting kings, then she became a nation under kings. That makes sense? So right now, we are about to become a nation under God because the Constitution is gone. And it's gone. I say it's gone. I made a whole broadcast on it for lots of reasons. One of them is when the Supreme Court no longer observes the Constitution, it's gone. When the states no longer follow the laws of the Constitution, it's gone. Okay, so it's gone. It's gone. Now, maybe not totally. I'll agree with that. But I want to believe that something real good is coming. And that real good means that I believe that a season of a transfer of wealth, a season of miracles, a season of evil roundup, a bunch of people rounded up. I want to believe that there's at least 2 or 3 years in there someplace where there's going to be some really good times. So that's my point here. So when it says, West Virginia State Capitol flying the flag upside down, a nation in distress, let's go back to the second part of the prophecy. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Now, let me go to, once again, AlternateRadioShow.com, and if somebody else has better information, I'll quote them. But it seems like this guy always seems to have the information that fits. Anyway, headline, D.C. distributing pallets of bricks to throw at Trump rally. The powers that be in Washington, D.C. are distributing pallets of bricks today, presumably to be used by radical leftists to throw at Trump rally attendees. If anyone throws a brick at a rally attendee, that brick thrower is to be, and I'm not going to say that 4-letter word, but it's suggesting you throw a brick and we throw a bullet. I'll say it that way. You throw a brick, and we're going to throw a bullet. I've been saying for a long time, it's one thing when you get a bunch of leftists angry, when you get a bunch of people that are paid antagonists, paid rioters, and you make those kind of people angry. It's a whole nother thing when you make the patriots, when you make the ex-military types, when you make the people that are normally sheep and normally peaceful. When you make those people angry, then you really do have a problem. And I'm afraid that we have reached that point in America. Again, the second part of the prophecy, some of the people will start fighting against the government. Does that sound to you like when they're distributing pallets of bricks throughout Washington, D.C., and they're bringing in, according to HalTurnerRadioShow.com, the state police are actually escorting, at least this video showed, 5 different white buses filled with, at least according to what he said, Antifa and BLM protesters. Okay, so the leftists, we'll call them leftists, the leftists have bricks, but what do the patriots have? Does that sound like some of the people will start fighting against the government? So if Trump wins January the 6th, there's going to be blood, a lot of people say. And if Trump loses January the 6th, a lot of people are saying there's going to be blood. Either way, there's about to be blood. Going back to the prophecy, the fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and 2 other countries will attack and defeat America in 1 day and 1 hour. So great riches will come to naught. Now, I do not believe that Russian attack is imminent. I do not think it's coming in a couple of months. I think that we still have earthquakes. We still have a financial disaster. We still have the 7 headlines from Leslie that have not been fulfilled. We still have several things that have not been fulfilled. I covered that in yesterday's broadcast. So I do not think the Russians are about to attack, but I do believe that the fall of America has started. Didn't say it ended, didn't say it was middle way through. It said that the fall of America will start with an internal revolution. That started November the 3rd, 2020, with the election, in my opinion. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. That may very well start January the 6th. As in, you're listening to this broadcast the day that some of the people might start fighting against the government. And if Trump is announced to be the winner, no question, there's going to be people fighting against the government. If he loses, there's going to be people fighting against the government. You see what I'm saying? So either way, we stand a very high probability to see blood shed. American against American, divide and conquer in our nation. Now, let me go on with the article. Tomorrow, Wednesday, January 6, 2021, Congress will meet to review the electoral votes about who will be sworn in as president later this month on January the 20th. If Congress rubber stamps the rampant election fraud, then it is highly likely civil war. I didn't say that. HalTurnerRadioShow.com said that. Okay, he's saying that the Civil War may start, well, by the time you hear this, on January the 6th. It's a highly likely civil war will erupt within the United States, and it may begin as soon as Congress casts its votes over the election college vote. 500,000 or more Americans are already on their way to Washington, D.C., bringing guns. I didn't say that. He said that. Bringing guns and ammunition with them. In other words, this is the patriots. These are the ex-military types. These are the ones that will really do the damage. You make those people mad, and they've never been mad like this before, not in my lifetime. You make those people mad, and you have a real problem. Back to the article. Such a mass of armed Americans would outnumber and outgun the Washington, D.C. Capitol Police, the Washington, D.C. Metro Police, the D.C. National Guard, which is assisting with 300 men who are also disarmed by order of the mayor. No police force would have any chance at all of stopping 500,000 armed Americans. I'll read it again. No force of police would have any chance at all of stopping 500,000 armed Americans who may storm into the U.S. Capitol and put an end to whatever crooked usurpers they may find. Now, I'm going to say I think we need to pray against this. I'm going to say we need to pray peace and unity in our nation, brothers and sisters. We actually don't want to see blood. We want to see unity. We want to see love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, and temperance. More. In a massive security breach, maps of the access tunnels beneath U.S. Capitol have been circulated to groups coming to Washington, D.C., so legislators will not be able to sneak out of the Capitol unnoticed or unconfronted. Are you hearing that? They are, according to HalTurnerRadioShow.com, planning. I don't even want to say it. I don't think I have to say it. Let me go on. All the signs point to a violent outbreak of civil war beginning Wednesday in Washington, D.C., January the 6th. If that takes place, the Democrats and rhinos will have brought it on themselves through their own treachery. All right, now let me raise the sights just a little bit. Sometimes we see red and blue. Sometimes we see Democrat against Republican. Sometimes we see light against dark. But you have to understand, it is God that put in the hearts of these evil people to form a world government. Why? So that he could put in their hearts to fulfill his will, to do those things that he wants them to do, to bring them down upon the mountains of Israel, to attack Israel, so that on the day of Armageddon, when he returns and he uses that morning star to defeat them in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye at the last trump, when he blows his glory down and he burns the tares quicker than you can blink an eye. And so all of this is put in the hearts of those evil people so that they may be destroyed. Yeah, that's a long view, isn't it? What I'm saying is, we have to pray. We don't want to be part of this. I'm telling you, do not get involved in this. Do not do it. Instead, pray. Fast. Pray. Pray for our president. Pray for our nation. Pray that righteousness, pray that justice and unity is brought into our nation. Our call is to fast and pray, my brothers and sisters. Fast and pray for our nation. If your heart is with us, I'm asking you to become a member. Actually state before God that you are with our vision to win thousands upon thousands of souls, to teach prophecy and walk in sevenfold miracles, to be a blessing and give answers in the time of trouble. If this is your heart, go to prophecyclub.com and click on membership. Only takes 90 seconds. This will help us to get a loan for an office and a church to do the work of the ministry. prophecyclub.com. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com is owned by a prophecy student who reads his King James Bible and supports Prophecy Club. Call CornerstoneAssetMetals.com for gold, silver, palladium, rhodium bars, or coins that can help you roll over your IRA, 401k. So tell CornerstoneAssetMetals.com Prophecy Club sent you. Heaven's Harvest has more food in stock. That's right, freeze-dried, the coveted freeze-dried food in stock at heavensharvest.com. And if you put the promo code in STAN, it helps your Prophecy Club, and it also gets you a packet of heirloom seeds free. heavensharvest.com, promo code STAN, S-T-A-N, heavensharvest.com, STAN. When a nuclear device is detonated, the wind blows the dust settling on everything around you. Then you breathe, eat, or absorb radioactive iodine, which then kills your thyroid and kills you. A simple fix is to immediately take potassium iodate pills, which flood your thyroid with good iodine, keeping the radioactive iodine out. You need 1 bottle per person per exposure for everyone from infant to adult. 10 bottles available for a gift of $225 or $25 per bottle at prophecyclub.com. Shelf life from 5 to 8 years, potentially more if you refrigerate or freeze it. That's prophecyclub.com, potassium iodate pills. When a nuclear device goes off, it produces an EMP, electromagnetic pulse, and it fries every computer chip unless they're protected. The good news is EMPshield.com has devices a military testing facility says are 100% accurate to protect against EMP, solar flares, lightning, power surges backed by a 10-year warranty and a $25,000 insurance policy. And they come with simple installation instructions for home, vehicles, RV, and electric generators. You can have electricity in a blackout. EMPshield.com. Use the promo code PROPHECY for a $50 gift card. This helps Prophecy Club. That's EMPshield.com. Promo code PROPHECY for a $50 gift card. EMPshield.com. empshield.com. In 2017, I memorized the book of Revelation. I was shown a secret door linking the feasts to the prophecies of Revelation. For the first time, the book of Revelation can be put in correct chronological order. You can understand Bible prophecy. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets of 5. 1 for 20, but don't do that. 5 for 35 or 10 for 60. What is the most important information to every beating heart on the globe? After accept Jesus, it would be, don't take the mark of the beast. Those taking the mark of the beast do not get soul death, but are tormented in the lake of fire and brimstone for eternity. How do you tell them? Give them miss the mark. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets of 10. 1 for 20, 10 for 30, and 20 for 50 at prophecyclub.com. Over the past 32 years, I've collected the best 101 prophecies from Dimitri Duduman, Michael Boldea, Leslie Johnson, Henry Gruber, Shane Warren, Terry Bennett, Marie Sklar, Augusto Perez, Doug Metzger, and more. It's called God's Warnings for America. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets of 5. 1 for 20, but don't do that. 5 for 35 or 10 for 60. My new book is called Tribulation Secrets in Daniel because that's what it does. It shows you the part of Daniel you need to know, being you're about to be a tribulation saint and will desperately need to know and understand about the last days you live in. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets of 10. 1 for 20, 10 for 30, and 20 for 50 at prophecyclub.com. In How Pre-Trib 1, I expose the dirty little secrets pastors don't want you to know, which is why sometimes they can't preach the truth, especially about the rapture. Then, using the secret door, I explain the truth about the rapture and rebut 25 claims pre-tribbers use to prove pre-trib. You'll finally know the truth about the rapture. We offer it in shrink-wrap sets of 10. 1 for 20, but don't do that. 10 for 30, 20 for 50 at prophecyclub.com. That's prophecyclub.com.